you could be marked with behavioral codes by the U.S. government based on your social media if this new bill is passed. It would create a federal government that has full access to police and control every website. I am not kidding. Literally every single one. Not only that, the government would create a new federal agency that is it's online police. They could launch investigations and fine you based on what you say. And it is not like the FBI, where if they accuse you of something, you get your day in court. No, their word on your online behavior would be final.
This is unbelievable.
Now, I know this sounds scary, and this is one of those segments where I'm going to show you bits of the bill that I think are concerning. I know that doesn't always make for amazing television, and Clayton will lecture me later about screenshots of bills. But anyway, I think we need to educate ourselves about this, and we absolutely should tell our representatives what we think of it. So hold on tight. I know I've already lost you at new federal agency, because federal agencies did not have a good week last week with the Durham report, with the FBI whistleblowers,
CIA.
With, new revelations that the FBI has been using 9/11 powers to survey Americans over almost 300,000 times last week. That was revealed. And they said, oh, that's not in the rules. We got confused about the Justice Department emails. So, okay, here's what this is. This is from the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2023. Came out from these two Democratic senators, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet and also Vermont Senator Peter Welch. Now, what they're couching this as is a need for AI regulation. We've talked about this a lot. You know, tech giants are sort of warning that AI is going to run away from us too fast and then take over in short order. But is that what this bill is? It's not. It's not that at all. AI is barely mentioned in this bill other than a cautionary tale. What it does is give the government full access to every social media and website that operates inside the United States. I'm not kidding. Look at the jurisdiction. That's how they define it, is basically, any digital platform. Any digital platform,
the services of which originate or are received within the United States. So they get access to overseas.
Yes.
As well.
If Americans access it, or it can be accessed in the United States, that's their business. What they would call this is the Federal Digital Platform Commission. Federal Digital Platform Commission. It's like the FCC for the internet. Here's what their job would be, and it's 7 things that they lay out. They would access digital platform for civic engagement, they say, access to government services and public safety, competition to encourage the creation of new online services, prevention of harmful levels of concentration of private power. Okay, put a pin in that one. That sounds a little concerning. That means they don't want private individuals to basically have any power to have a website and then use that power. Number 5, a robust and competitive marketplace of ideas with diversity of view. Yes, the government really wants diversity of view. Can we go to the next one, please? Number 6, protection for consumers, including communities of color and underserved population, from deceptive, unfair, unjust, unreasonable, or abusive practices committed by digital platforms. And number 7, assurance that the algorithmic process of digital platforms are fair, transparent, and safe. Okay, that one concerns me a lot. Who just laughed? Go ahead.
David fell out of his chair.
Because they use these terms that are subjective. It's like, and it just leaves it open for interpretation, however they want to interpret those words. And I always say that if you're going to go after people that cause fear, you have to do it to the least common denominator, the weakest among us, because nobody can be hurt. And that just drives me insane.
Right. And so think about this idea of marginalized communities, right? And then if you can make the point that, let's say, me saying any words that makes you think, oh, this might not be fair, might be then flipped on its head and called hate speech and then downranked. I mean, I'm going to make this point later about how COVID behavior would have and could have been downranked, that kind of thing. So again, right away, we need to be wary that the government wants to access all digital platforms, but says, don't worry, we're doing this for civic engagement. raise your hand if you believe that. And if we play this out a little, like we have platforms like we're streaming right now on Rumble, which have refused to censor topics such as COVID, elections, gender ideology, you name it. This bill would give the government a driver's license inside of Rumble. And Rumble couldn't say then, well, we don't want to downrank this conversation. We don't want to censor this conversation. They would have no choice. Twitter, we've shown how through the Twitter files, the government agencies could just slip into Twitter's DMs and say, censor that person, block that person, cancel that person, right? But now, because of Elon Musk, that had to be stopped. Well, this bill is one way to take that power back and just completely be in the driver's seat. Now, the senators say they want this because of these reasons. They say that, they need to make sure that digital platforms are not undercutting small business, abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. They're worried, right, that online social media is abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. So they're choosing what is true.
Yeah.
Right. And who gets to speak?
They're going to tell us these journalists are deemed. This is like Canada all over again. Right.
Yes.
So the Canadian government, of course, will make you register to be deemed a government selected journalist, basically. Right. If you're part of like Rebel News or somebody else, no, you're not a deemed journalist. You're not a trusted source. And so I could imagine a scenario where there's like a riot or there's something happening in your town and people take to Twitter and they're posting videos of like what they're seeing out their window. They're like, look what's happening. What's happening in my town, and they could shut that down. They could literally come in and shut that down. And at the same time, they could then be turning to these trusted sources to disseminate fake news.
Well, sure, but we don't need that hypothetical because we've already been through the COVID pandemic where discussion of certain therapeutics that are proven were downranked and disallowed.
Blocked.
Where vaccine hesitancy was also downranked and disallowed.
Why 4 times we were banned on this channel on YouTube specifically for coverage.
Mainstream media was willing to ask tough questions about the vaccine, and they were all then trusted, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What were you going to say, Philip?
Well, I was just going to say really quick, and the importance of like actual medical doctors with medical degrees were silenced. Like that's the biggest part of it. Like,
yes,
and so those weren't the experts. So they're going to pick journalists that are the experts over doctors.
Yeah, they're going to pick Taylor Lorenz. Like we've deemed Taylor Lorenz.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead,
Here's
Philip.
specialist Jake Tapper.
No, I was just gonna say that basically like it's getting what they're saying is that like if you won't willingly join us, then we will block you. It's like basically they only want journalists that will put them on the payroll and toe the line. And so like this it's like it's just a thinly veiled way of just trying to take out independent media. So thin.
Yeah, it's very transparent. Let's go back to those reasons now. Number C, some of the reasons they think that we need this. They need to make sure that addiction and other harms to mental health are not exploited. Disseminating disinformation and hate speech, they want to take that on. Undermining privacy and monetizing the personal data of U.S. citizens without informed consent. And in some cases, radicalizing individuals to violence. And then the last one was development of increasingly powerful algorithmic processes for communications. This one, leave on the screen for a little bit so that our audience can read this to themselves, because this one's pretty laughable. They're saying the algorithm could surface conversations such as, let's say, gender critical thought or actual discussions of COVID therapeutics, and the government could not suppress it because, the algorithm. So the government is saying they mistrust the algorithm and they need to take that power back. Like, don't let the algorithm raise awareness about topics that are good for you. Let the government do it. And who exactly...
Let them inoculate you.
Right.
Yeah. Who exactly appoints this commission? Who's then going to be the one who chooses, who knows how to manipulate the algorithm for our best interest? The president. The commission shall be composed of 5 commissioners appointed by the president. So absolutely, this will be a political hire.
Jack Klugman in our chat says he'll be named the central scrutinizer.
Yeah.
The central scrutinizer.
I don't remember if that's the name of
basically.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say. So we're basically what they're proposing is putting a bunch of like 81-year-old guys that don't understand how Facebook works or what a direct message is. They're going to put those people in charge of an AI algorithm for YouTube. Like, I don't see that backfiring.
I suppose, although when you think of political appointees to these types of, heads of these commissions, you're not going to get someone like Edward Snowden who's like, this is maybe an infringement on civil liberties. You're going to get someone who's like, all right, I'm all in. Let's, tell them what they can talk about. Let's do it. And so
you get that. Oh, sorry. You get that yes person, not necessarily the most qualified or the smartest that would be able to do it. You just get somebody that's willing to do what they want.
And gets drunk on that power.
In any agency. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. You get a Yoel Roth, basically. If you read the Twitter files and you're going along with the Twitter files, think of this as a Yoel Roth who's just like, absolutely, let's shut down conversation because the government told us to. Now, what is it that this commission will be working on? Well, they're going to be coding your behavior. The commission will establish a code council that will develop these standards and behavioral codes. Take a look at how technical standards and behavioral codes. So let's say that you're doing something they don't like. Let's say you, for instance, are against school closures during the pandemic. That behavior would be coded and removed from the algorithm or purposely downranked. Of course, Google already does this. We know this. So does Twitter, so does Facebook. But this would be the government doing it directly. Google and Facebook have only done this because the government's asked them to. Now the government wouldn't even have to. It's taking out the middleman of social media. In order to do this, the agency would have full access to social media platforms, their managers, and all of their data. Take a look at this investigative authority that they want to give themselves. Basically, we can go into the management, we can go into all your data. What's yours is ours. No more subpoena through the FBI. We just take it. You have to give it to us. Now, if anyone is found to not be working along with this agency or doing bad, unlike the FBI, they don't even have to bring this new agency. They don't have to bring their case against someone in a court of law. When the FBI charges someone like President Trump, he has a chance to defend himself in a court of law. Not with this agency. The commission would basically have a final order, and then you have to pay your fines. Take a look. In general, they have final say. No, the previous one.
Goodbye, Fourth Amendment.
Final order.
Final order. The next one. Sorry, do you see that one?
I saw it. I saw it a second ago on the screen.
That one. Okay. The commission shall have basically the right to, issue a charge, classification, regulation, issue an order, concluding an investigation, and then that order is final. Then they assess a fine, and you have to pay that fine. You can appeal to the District Court of Appeals, or your Attorney General can challenge an order, but that's assuming you have a lot of money and power. For the most part, you're kind of on the hook for this behavior unless you shell out the money for a federal appeal or get the attention of your Attorney General. They also can order you to cease and desist certain behavior and establish a civil penalty for civil behavior, which I assume means jail time. I mean, think of this, right? If you're speaking out against school closures and they tell you need to stop doing that because we think it's unsafe. I mean, they easily made the argument that school was unsafe. And so if you say, no, it's bad for kids to be out of school, they can say, you saying that is making children unsafe. You want kids to die of COVID. So we're going to put you in jail. Is what I assume establish a civil penalty means. It's not written out here, but why not give themselves that? Because this is a kitchen sink kind of bill. And here's how much it will cost American taxpayer dollars to approve of this online Gestapo. $100 billion for the first year, and it just goes up from there. 100 million, sorry. My glasses. And then just more and more each year in the first 5 consecutive years. So I think that this is a bone-chilling piece of legislation. I absolutely and wholeheartedly reject it. I would like to invite you to read the bill for yourself and see what you think about it, and let your representative know whether you like it or you don't. Because, I don't know how much this has a chance to pass in this divided Congress, but as long as this is out here, when Democrats take power, they will pass something like this unless we tell them not to. So,
the problem I see with this bill is it's really easy to create a boogeyman out of AI, because that's an easy thing to get both sides on board with, because they think Terminator, they think that's the narrative. Here's the boogeyman. We all have to fight the boogeyman. So any of them that are in the same place, Democrats or Republicans, they're going to be like, we need this. And then you'll have the fringe on the outside that may fight it. But I just see them being on board with that just because that's an easy narrative to spin.
It's a consolidation of power, and both Democrats and Republicans love that. Consolidation of power so that the big tech firms get more power. They control more of the government. They absolutely, they'll pretend, Republicans will play lip service to the fact that they don't like it. But in the end, they end up voting for it. They end up voting for these COVID bills. They end up voting for these COVID restrictions. They end up voting for greater power at the government level. And small businesses get squeezed and individual citizens get squeezed out. So they both parties love this kind of stuff. This was created by Democrats, but make no mistake about it, there will be people on the Republican side who will support this very, very much. Let us know your thoughts on this in the chat below.
Let Philip say something, and then we'll end this one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how is this? So it seems to me that this shouldn't be a bill, and it's really not a bill. This is a constitutional amendment. Because this is directly overriding. Yeah. This is the government retaliating on free speech. This would be rewriting the First Amendment. Yeah, and that's very specific on what it says. The government can't do that. Yeah. It cannot retaliate against free speech.
Yeah, how can you not have due process? Like, you can't go through a court. You're just going to get a fine. They're just going to literally come after you and fine you for your speech.
Plus civil penalties, which, again, I'm assuming means jail time. Can you put up the first screen, the first image? Is that easy to put up the bill? Because people in the chat are asking what this bill is and how they can, inform themselves about it. There was a link in today's newsletter. This is the name of the bill, the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2023. And yes, read up on it and tell me what you think. If you have a different read on it and you think that this is benevolent and I've got it wrong, I would love to hear it.
Totally benevolent. Our government is nothing but benevolent. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.